I'm currently doing a multi-episode on the offerings by BMW when it comes to naked bikes. Now, the first one we had a look at is the BMW R1250R. The next one we had a look at was the F900R. And this one behind me here is a very often overlooked bike. And it is absolutely stunning, and I think in these 2023 colors is stunning. We're talking about the BMW G310R. Let's have a look at this in more detail and what those numbers mean or letters mean, the R, the F and the G. The first bike we looked at in the Naked series was the R1250R. Now that first R stands for Boxer Motors. The next Naked we looked at is the F900R. That F stands for Parallel Twin. Now this bike in front of me here is the 2023 G310R. Now that G stands for Single Cylinder. Now yes, this is a single cylinder, liquid cooled, but more about the engine now. The bike is overlooked often, and I think it is because it's such a small capacity bike. However, you got to look at the positives and what this bike offers. I mean, it is an agile roadster. You're talking about bike that's affordable, maneuverable, sporty, light, easy to handle, easy to live with. It's an entry-level bike, and you're entering in with a quality German BMW. Yes, it's manufactured in India, however the R&D and the final stamp is still BMW, and you have that build quality and the quality checks by BMW. First launched G10R in 2018. It is an urban motorcycle that doubles as a weekend canyon carver, if you want to call it, because the ground clearance is great. It looks sporty and aggressive. It handles super well, and with the top speeds of this bike, if you look at it, it is a legitimate highway, freeway commuter as well. You know, you're not going to be an moving obstacle on the highway. So the bike visually, I think, is stunning, very aggressive. I love that stepped seat and how that tank comes up. You know what? The bike does not have any brag-worthy goodies like traction control, rider modes, quick shifters. However, what it has is cost effectiveness. You're getting a BMW at super quality bike and cost effective, value for money, and something that is super practical. And I think what they've done with the 2023 color scheme here, this one in front of us, it is very modern and cool looking. For 2023, you have the 3 color options. Those color options for 2023 being Cosmic Black, then you have the Polar White and Racing Blue Metallic, as this one in here, also known as Style Sport Package, or else you get the Style Passion Package, which is Racing Red. Now, absolutely stunning. And having a look at some of the details on this bike, no, you don't have a full color TFT, yet you have this LCD monochrome, which gives you all the details. You have gear indicator, and we'll talk about that more when we're on a ride. Having a look at the lights, full LED lights all the way around, daytime riding light, as you can see here, indicators, all LED. So absolutely stunning piece. And you have goodies like we're not used to from the 80s. You have a side stand sensor, for example. And if I were to put a bike like this against competition, I would put this one against the KTM 390 Duke, for example. But I think let's talk about the engine in more detail and then go for a ride. Now, before I start, mechanically, this is as per the previous 2021 update. You're talking about a motor that's a 313cc single cylinder water-cooled 4-stroke, 4 valves, double overhead cam, wet sump. Now, having a look here, yes, there's your radiator. Your max power on this motor is 34 horsepower, which is 25 kilowatts at 9,500 RPM. Max torque is 28 Newton meters at 7,500 RPM. It goes through a 6-speed gearbox and final drive being chain, very much like the F900. Then when you're talking wheels, you have the cast aluminium wheels, and I think super good looking in this red. 17-inch front, 17-inch rear, shod with a 110, 150. And when it comes to the brakes, you'll see in front you have a single disc 300 millimeters with a fixed 4-piston caliper. At the rear you have a single disc 240 millimeters with a floating single piston caliper. And yes, if you see, it does have ABS, this bike, so safety is there. The suspension, modern upside down front forks in front with a 140mm travel. The rear is a double dual swing arm with a monoshock, and I think the travel is around about the 130 millimeters. Seat height is a low 785 millimeters. You have the OEM options for 770 and 800 for the higher option, but you'll see I am very comfortable with this. Flat-footed, knees are bent, that stepped seat lower for the rider, really cool. The wet weight on this bike is 164 kilos, so fantastic. That's where the bike is nimble and as a commuter fuel efficient. On that point, liters, the tank looks bigger, but it is 11 liters, and I think for that capacity and fuel efficiency gives you decent range. The maximum speed is rated at 165 kilometers per hour, but yes, that could vary. We here in Johannesburg, that gives you about 1600 meters altitude. That would drop a little bit, but as you can see, I'm sure you'll run 140 to 145 kilometers an hour, which means you're not going to be a moving obstacle on a highway. I think walking around this bike, you can agree with me, the color options for 2023 looks fantastic. It's modern, it is an aggressive looking bike. If you look at it quickly at a glance, it does look bigger than a little 300cc bike. And that exhaust, as you can see, single header coming out on one side, looks great. I love the wheels, love this color design. I think let's stop talking, jump on and go for a ride, and I'll talk about the clock a little bit more. Now for me, definitely a worthy contender or participant in the naked bike section. However, one of the things I would change the exhaust. One, the size is too big, and secondly, the sound is a bit too muted. Doesn't sound bad, but loud pipe saves life, and I always say a nice healthy sound is enjoyable when riding a bike. Having a look at this clock up here, you can really see there's your fuel level, your odo reading, you have your time on top, you have your gear selection, and your RPMs at the bottom. All the information you need is there. It is modern, it's not analog, so it's great, easily visible. And here we go. When you see you roll on, this bike does move. It's not a slouch. I mean, you're not talking about a 200 horsepower superbike, but when it comes to commuting, you will be quicker off the mark than most cars. You're not going to be a moving obstacle for anybody. You have confidence. Yes, you can change down and overtake quite swiftly. I think the seating position overall is extremely comfortable. I like the seat, the step from the pillion to the rider seat. I sit right at the back and it fits snug. As you sit, the seat is well cushioned, comfortable. It's not soggy or too soft like a couch. It is well padded and the bike really floats. The main feature that I noticed immediately is how light this bike is. You really do feel, I mean, most bikes nowadays border on 200 kilos. Take a cement bag off and that's what you've got here. You're talking 160, 164. So 40 kilograms lighter than your average bike you're used to, and that makes this bike really nimble and you can flick it around. Your handlebars are nice and wide, good control. You don't have these sports style handlebars with clip-ons or anything. It's nice and wide. Controls, very tactile. Even with big gloves like these, I can get all the controls easily. If you have a look with these big gloves, big fingers, all the controls I can get to, indicators, hooters, very easy. It's neat. Display is modern. No, it's not full color TFT like most. They're really nice. They're niceties. However, you got to bear in mind why you would buy a bike like this. And this is cost effective. You want value for money. Now, it still gives you all the information. You can have your RPMs, you have your speed digital, you have your odo, you have your time, you have your fuel gauge. You even have your gear selection. You have LED, all round, headlight, tail light, indicators. Have a look at this. No, don't have quick shifter, but this thing hops. I mean, already well over legal limits and highway speeds. And the bike is just nimble. You can flick it around. If you're not used to it, actually nearly too light at first. But it's great. It tracks great. It's light. My legs tuck in really nice on the petrol tank. It looks great. You're riding a BMW. So you feel special. And don't have to change down. There's enough grunt. I roll on. And here we go. It's not going to scare you and throw you off right up the back wheel and throw you off. No, it's not going to do that. So even if you're commuting and it is drizzling or raining, you don't need the rider modes because you've got a good throttle control. It's nice and progressive as you roll on. With the limited horsepower and the amount of rotation on the throttle, you really have good feel of how much input and how it accelerates. It feels great. I mean, you're not going to do anything stupid in traffic, which most of us tend to do when the visor's closed and the red mist happens. Look at this clock, fully functional. All the information's there. 4th gear tells you. 5th gear. Let's slow down for these traffic lights. Here we go. This bike hops. There we go, top gear. And the bike is just brilliant. Have a look at this. Dead straight. It looks good from the cockpit, looks modern. Indicators, I mean rearview mirrors are solid, stable. I can see past my shoulders and elbows. Visibility is great. No, the speeds are not of such that I do need wind protection. There's no wind protection, but this is what I said in the previous episodes. When it comes to nakeds, it's about getting back to riding bikes. The guys that rode in the 20s and 40s and 50s, they didn't have fairings to tuck in behind. They rode, they got a headlight in front, handlebars, analog clock or two, off you went. And it's brilliant. This bike, you got to look at what it is. And yes, sometimes we want to spoil ourselves with horsepowers or niceties, but bikes today get so complicated that you need a PhD to operate all the onboard computers and rider controls and all of that. And sometimes that's way too much when you're just commuting. And we buy it with all the trick bits in the box. However, what do we actually use on a day-to-day basis? 10% of it? Now here you get a bike that's stripped down, cost effective. You get just the right amount what you need. There's enough horsepower to move you around quickly. You commute nicely. Build quality of German BMW. The fact that it's built in India just helps. The price tag, keep it low. You have side stand sensors. You have gear indicators in front. Yes, you have ABS all round. You have disc brakes front and back. It is perfect. LED lighting. You have everything you need to have a bike you can enjoy and commute. I mean, this is so stable. I'm riding all this time with one hand. You can really tuck in, and if you want to ride sporty, you just lean forward, put some more weight over the front wheel and hang it off, and you can have heaps of fun. I really enjoy this ride because it's a little bit like the old 125cc races or the Moto 3s of today. You actually ride it a little bit on the stopper. You ride it hard and it's very rewarding. It's a lot of fun. And you can throw it into corners. The ground clearance is great. This bike handles properly. And off you go. If I had my leathers on, my knee sliders, I would be on the ground. Here we go, properly stitching it. Heaps of fun. And again, what more do you need in commuting? You're saving money on fuel, you're saving money on your vehicle, and it's just a BMW. You know you can get it serviced anywhere, and parts are available. Brilliant piece of kit. And you don't need the horsepower for day to day. You're not going to spit yourself off. Rain, you're going to actually love riding in the rain on this thing. And when it comes to nakeds, they're just so much fun. Thank you, sir. Here we go, tucking in a little bit, and well past highway legal limits. I don't think I'll get to 160 here, but 140 definitely possible on this bike. The brakes, good feel on the brakes. You don't have an initial bite that gives you a fright. It's progressive, good feel. If you want to do a bit of an emergency brake, you can. You have ABS that's going to look after you. And if you want to do progressive braking, definitely possible. Here, if I were to stop it really hard on the anchors, you'll see it does stop proper. All round, I must say I'm having a great time. For what it is, value for money, affordable, something that's easy to live with, easy to handle, and just everyday versatility. It's a fantastic little motorcycle, and something that shouldn't be overlooked if you're entering the motorcycle market. If you're a shorter person with shorter legs and you just want to get your feel into it, or you're an elderly person, you still love riding bikes and you don't want something too powerful and too heavy, this is something that you're really comfortable with. Should my daughters want to get into road riding, they have ridden plastic bikes off-road. Should they want to get into road riding, this is definitely an option I would encourage them to enter, because it is a bike that is light. My daughters aren't as tall as me. It's a bike that's light, it's nimble, it's not scary, you've got good feel, you sit upright, there's no pressure on neck, lower back, wrists, forearms, nothing. So it's a bike they could live with, a bike they have good control of, and they can really hone their riding skills. So I would definitely encourage my daughters to enter the road riding on one of these. It's a fantastic piece of kit. Have a look here. We can drop everything around us as a little warrior on the track. Stunning little piece. I think it is a proper nice naked offering by BMW. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please remember, hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, and most important of all, please guys, hit that subscribe button to help me build this channel. And if you like, hit the reminder bell so you always know when I'm reviewing something new or scratching out a classic.